Alright friends, so guess what? We've finally arrived at tier 6, where things pop off so bad that you just want to take off your pants and go running outside. There's not a good thing here, not a good thing on this list, but also, just like with the last tier, there's a lot of shit that I'm gonna add in here. Conversation about these things that probably needs to happen, that has never been happening. No one's ever tried to actually massage our fears about this kind of stuff, so like we're gonna try and have as legitimate of a conversation about these things as possible. But it's worth noting at this point, I've said this before, like as we go down this list, things are going to get worse, and I have my own arguments about that, and whether or not I think that's okay. There's a whole debate to be had about that. We're going to talk about these things because at least these are still things that we have all come to observe as parts of our reality that we've all had to deal with and process, and they aren't yet to the point where I feel the need to hurt someone. So no one's getting hurt just yet. Sometimes my camera just like decides to turn me into a Simpson. I don't like that. Tier 6. All right, so tier 6 doesn't really have a theme other than that it sucks. So let's just get going. All right, so the first thing on tier 6 is Snuff R73. The thing with this is that it's like a mixtape compilation where the marketing on it was kind of spooky, and so people had a really hard time figuring out whether or not the things that were contained wherein were actually secretly illegal, because there's supposedly like a short version that's bad, an hour-long version that's deplorable, and a 3-hour-long version that's illegal. Although supposedly the 3-hour-long version is a myth and not real, so keep that in mind. The other thing is, I wanted to mention this. I've mentioned this prior, but the FBI hires people. Now, look, listen, I'm not endorsing the FBI or whatever here, but they do one good thing, okay? They do one fucking good thing at least. Document child pornographers by literally scrubbing through a lot of this kind of shit that exists, like child shit that exists, and capturing screenshots of the people involved and also like photos of their environment, and then finding them and then prosecuting them. This is good. We should do this because it's bad to do. Don't do it. I feel like if you're going to proudly put yourself in the video of you hurting children, then you've probably got what's coming to you at that point, my dude. Fuck you. Big old fuck you. Can we just... Big old fuck you to whoever's fucking with kids, right? I think that anybody fucking with anybody kind of sucks. Like, there's no great murder. There's no murder where you're like, yes, this is fantastic and I sure enjoy this. But when it comes to kids, everybody, I think, goes, ah, boy, that one's the one I'm gonna fucking go after, like White Knight for. That one is indescribably horrible. And yeah, it's indescribably horrible. I mean, the people that do this job where they find this stuff, like, they have really serious mental health problems from having dealt with the shit that they've seen. You know, a lot of people say that when they got a hold of Josh Duggar's computer over at the FBI and they were going through it, like looking through all the child porn, they had to do it in shifts because the PTSD was so fucking horrible for everyone who looked at those fucking computers. I bring this up in tandem with Snuff R73 to say, if a 3-hour-long version of this existed and it had in it the things that people say it has in it, then there would be screenshots from this posted on the FBI website literally right now for anyone to go look at and find these motherfuckers. That, I think, lends to the concept that this is a myth, obviously, that there is this like horrible extra version, and if there is, it's probably somebody either profiting off this myth, being a bastard. Enough cannot be said about how much people that do this kind of shit are fucking bastards. Like, people who are like, I'm gonna put together a whole hour-long mixtape of children being hurt. Wow, I was gonna fucking knit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got books to read. I was thinking about going outside. I mean, fun for you if you want to fucking sit at your computer and literally put the worst shit in a linear order for somebody to consume and be like, ah, yes. Fucking why? Fucking why? Go fucking ride a roller coaster. Like, go fucking get on an airplane and fly to an exotic new place and see the world. Like, go do something with your life. Why the fuck are you doing this? So I think why why the fuck are you doing this is a pretty valid question, but I think a follow-up question is, why the fuck do I care? Like, the FBI is literally like the authority on snagging these assholes. My vibe is I don't necessarily think we need to be looking at it. Hot take. So what we probably need to do about the Snuff R73 is stop giving a fuck and move on. So let's stop giving a fuck and move on. All right, the Guerrero Flaying. Great. Good. My favorite. It's another one of those things where people are like, the cartel. There's a guy, he is supposedly a cop. He's a cop. So what do you think he did? Probably something cop-like. And a group of people that did not want to get fucked over by the cops decided to behead him next to his son and then flay his son, pull his heart out, and supposedly they hold his heart in their hands. Basically, it's just like a really bad video, dude. If you've ever seen a beheading, it's kind of like that, only they also flay a guy. It's not something you need to see for sure. It's like, if there's anything, there's like this medical aspect where you're just like seeing them without delicacy. They are flaying a person, just like degloving the chest of a person, and that in and of itself I think is horrible. I think a lot of people would be debating whether this is worse than the worst one, but they're all pretty bad. I mean, they're all pretty bad. They're all pretty bad. They're all pretty bad. I don't know if I mentioned this prior, but there's also this this cartel executes, like, guy beheads guy with a chainsaw. This is a video that exists that you can watch where they do this, and it's another situation where, just like the Guerrero Flaying, it's so phantasmagorical that you're just like, wow, damn. We don't necessarily know the context, and whatever context we're given is seen through a completely different cultural lens. So we don't necessarily understand what happened that was so bad that they had to flay this person and behead this other person next to each other, in the same way that we don't necessarily know why they had to be chainsawing people and their heads off. They did it. They did do that. Those are things that happened. But it's another one of those situations where people are like, are people filming this because they're like, wow, this is wild? Or are they filming this to send this to the police department to be like, can you get the fuck out of our neighborhood? We don't actually know. We can know some, but a lot of the stuff that we find is very anecdotal. We don't necessarily know to what extent war on drugs propaganda manifests in the press in that area. So it's hard for us to really tell whether the state themselves are being honest with us about what the problem actually is. Through our cultural lens, we have a tendency to make all these like rash, ridiculous assumptions, which isn't to say whatever happened is like justifiable or good, but it's certainly not quite as like ridiculous or xenophobic as a lot of people in our culture make it out to be. And so I'm going to talk about something at the very end of this that ties all this together, and it'll explain more or less why I feel so strongly about this, but we're going to keep moving. Guerrero Flaying bad. Guerrero Flaying bad. Guerrero Flaying, it's pretty bad. All right, the Rwandan Genocide. You know, there's videos of this. This is not a not videoed event. If anything, I think that this is one of the most shocking, like, wow, mass videoed events. Like, basically, if you don't know, there was a very bad man who paid for basically these trucks filled with like machetes and some guns, I believe, to just travel into villages, drop the weapons off, and be like, with the explicit purpose of killing like a different tribe of people in the area. There was like warring factions in the area. One went after the other with this like state-sponsored genocide, armed regular people, and told those regular people to just go door to door and just start genociding everyone they didn't like. Just get rid of all the marginalized people. Like, that's the plan. It is genuinely a horror because it's so simple. It's so simple that somebody was just like, I bet things are so bad that if I just filled a truck filled with weapons and then brought it to them, they'd probably go ahead and just start killing people. And the most fucked up aspect of that was that guy was right. They were that hateful that they were willing to do that pretty much immediately. Enough has not been said in modern times about the Rwandan genocide, in my opinion. I feel like it's one of the things that, you know, if it's not being portrayed in some sort of like Western lens, then people don't necessarily want to understand it or care about it. But it's not wildly different than genocides that have happened in our country. You know, Native American genocide. If you've ever been to Sand Creek and you know about the Sand Creek massacre, it isn't all that different from the Rwandan genocide. The thing that's fucked up about this is that number 5 thing, where power is bad. Somebody just having money and having the means and knowing that people hate each other enough, he can just eliminate the people he doesn't like from his country like that. Very fucked up and very bad. And it has happened to plenty of people throughout history, even in American history. Yokiro Agua. Ah, boy. Ah, boy. Oh, no. This one sucks. In my notes, I wrote, guy without a face is thirsty. I am clever. So, yeah, this one's pretty simple. It's a guy that has been tortured and his face has been removed, and you kind of think he's dead, but he's not dead, and he just kind of like keeps hopping in and out of like kind of going to shock world and then coming back. He re-enters the K-hole, you know what I mean? But at one point he kind of like comes back awake, and there's like a jump scare, and then the guys that are like fucking with him and filming him are just like, would you like some water? I bet you want some water, homie. And they're just like taunting his screaming faceless face. I mean, everything I just said sounds fucking terrible. It sounds like you don't want to watch it. It sounds like a not good movie. I would give it a thumbs down on IMDb. I don't think that that's how that works, but you know, the only effective moment is the jump scare, to be honest. Like, everything else is just disgusting. But yet again, it's another one of those instances where it's like phantasmagorical violence. So if you're like, oh, people are made of meat, that's crazy, then congratulations. Here's a way to learn. If you would like to learn very quickly, this is a way to learn that people are in fact made of meat. You can also learn here that pain sucks and power is bad. All the observable facts, all right here in Yokiro Agua. Such a great service to us to learn these things. But yeah, if you've already kind of accepted the fact that people can look like that, with enough work, people can look like that. If that is true, and you know that that is true, then maybe this video isn't all that shocking to you. I don't know, maybe it is, but to me, I feel like it's just kind of unfortunate. It's just kind of unfortunate. It's shocking, but it's also just kind of unfortunate. But it also falls directly into the category of things that people are like, the cartel is so bad. There's many cartels. We have already been over this. All right, so the next thing is surviving a bear attack. So you know how I said about Yokiro Agua, and especially that guy's face, you're like, ah, boy, that's unfortunate. This is somehow slightly more unfortunate, in my opinion. I prefer, in my opinion, to die from a bear attack. If I get attacked by a bear and it does this to me, I would probably rather just go ahead and just go ahead and let that one go. Just head back into Samsara and try again next time. You know what I mean? There is a video of a man who has survived a bear attack, and there are a lot of photos of him, and he looks pretty less than good. He looks like aspects of him are no longer. He looks different. He looks like he was changed by the experience he had. I mean, like, one time I watched a lion attack video, and I saw that guy get fucked up real bad. Like, that guy died, which was probably for the best, but oh boy, surviving that shit and then just having to be like, yeah, I mean, if you're ever like, what happened to your face? Just remember, a bear tore it off. So a bear tore it off. Bears, it turns out, are mean little shits, and they'll tear it off. They'll rip it right off. So again, there's not much to say other than, like, I mean, do you want to see a mangled person that's still walking around? Well, you can look that up, I guess. I probably wouldn't. Matter of fact, I wouldn't look up any of this shit. I would instead go back outside and play with a ball. I would kick a ball back and forth, or I'd get on a bike. I'd get on my bike and I'd just ride and let the breeze blow through my hair. Oh, that's my favorite feeling. I love that feeling. I also love the rain. Like, I love it when it rains. I love just sitting out in the rain and just listening to It's smelling it. It's like amazing. I mean, but you could Google surviving a bear attack, I guess. Dissected Chan is the next thing, and I hate it. Okay, people murder people. People murder people. It happens. It's true. We know this to be true. There's like 1 million true crime videos for soccer moms. I'm making one right now, my friends. This video is for soccer moms only. Sorry. But there's plenty of videos about true crime incidents where people killed other people. So that aspect of this is not shocking. But the fact that the person that did the killing here in the Dissected Chan thing posted a bunch of pictures of it on 4chan, and then also like at length talked about the sexual process of doing this dismemberment. It's kind of like if Flower of Flesh and Blood was real, which it doesn't need to be, which is, self-explanatory. Does not need to be real, it turns out, but is. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to see it's just a woman being dismembered. Something that I mentioned, I think in my Disturbing Movies Iceberg a long time ago, was that, there's only a limited amount of things that people can really do to each other, like on a horrible basis, and ultimately that all boils down to the same shit. It's like causing pain, or cutting somebody up, killing them, quartering them, things like that. Like, these are things that can happen, and this Dissected Chan thing covers most of those bases, pretty much takes care of it. Okay, the next thing is Dr. Gloves. Dr. Gloves, the glove doctor. Okay, so this is actually like a hot button issue right now, apparently. I did a lot of Googling on all this stuff because that is part of my job. I know that y'all don't love the fact that I'm damaging my brain for your entertainment. There's also a vindication element to it where I can handle this shit. Like, I've handled this shit all of my life. So when I see this stuff, it gives me the opportunity to look sort of past the necessary thing and then more towards the truth of it. So maybe this is utilitarian. Maybe this is pointless. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that Dr. Gloves seems to be a person, like a morgue worker, who works on dead children, and for whatever reason is really excited to show off their dead bodies to cameras. So he dresses all spooky, and then he holds up dead children and takes pictures, and that sucks. Like, seeing a lot of really bad shit happen to kids in these pictures is, it's bad. It sucks. Like, who the fuck would want to see that? To make matters worse, it seems that in the last little bit, he's pivoted to hurting living children, and there are videos supposedly of Dr. Gloves hurting living children, and the FBI has supposedly been informed and is working on it. So keep in mind that we might actually get an update on the whole Dr. Gloves thing here pretty soon. I mean, he's a scary looking dude who apparently does bad shit to children because he was vindicated by being able to do them to dead children, so now he's doing things to living children. Who's surprised? It turns out that a lot of these people that are doing these gore videos, or at least they're like active in the gore community, have a tendency to lead to actually them just like genuinely hurting actual people. So that fucking sucks. So we hate that that's true. All right. So the next thing is something that I've never heard of this. So maybe it's crazy. I guess we'll find out. It's called Funky Town Gore. Here, you know what? Let me just Google this real quick, see what this is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I missed this. This seems like it would be pretty important. Oh shit. Oh boy. Wow, I feel really different now. Okay, these are jokes. I've seen this around. This has been around for fucking ever. Well, it's not been around forever, but it's been around long enough for everyone to know about it at this point. But yeah, it's Funky Town Gore, which is basically just a very shocking video of a guy having his face is cut off. His hands are also cut off. Working on killing him. They also let him go at one point, and he tries to grab his own face with his not hands, and he can't, do the thing. So he cannot. But more importantly, the thing about this, the meme, I would even say, about the Funky Town Gore video, it doesn't look like you think it's going to look. Like, you imagine, a dark, seedy room where like a bunch of people are like talking and they're listening to music and they're cutting people up and they're screaming, but it's just like a very white, plain room and they're just doing it on like a floor and there's no carpet, and that part of it is really weird. Why, when I watch these videos, you know, I watch them, you know, sure, for whatever is the shocking aspect so that I can know what the shocking aspect of the thing is, but also I watch it to comment on the fashion most primarily. The thing that people don't realize about the Funky Town Gore video is that it proves everything that I've been trying to say this whole video. Something I said, a lot of times we have a tendency to assume that whatever we're seeing on the fucking video is there by happenstance. Like somebody just pulled their phone out and was like, this is crazy, I'm gonna film it. Well, the Funky Town Gore video is actually edited. It's edited in a couple spots. Why would someone edit this video? They would have to drag this into their editor and then cut that thing up. So that's weird. Another thing is that people be memeing constantly, talking about this constantly, how it seems that they are pumping the guy whose face is gone with adrenaline so that he will feel all the pain. No, it turns out, if I had a theory here, I think they're keeping him alive so that they can film him experiencing this while alive. The entire goal of this is to film his living reaction to what they had done. And so if he died, then they're just filming a bad dead body that they got. They were like, let's put adrenaline in him so that he continues to live, so that we can observe his death and film that for entertainment purposes. Well, not for entertainment purposes, but to make a film, to make a piece of cinema, and then deliver that cinema all over the world for people to be terrified of. So you can't very well watch the Funky Town Gore video and be like, oh wow, they really hate this guy, they want to hurt this guy really bad. They already did, homie. They already did. Like, he's on his way out when the video starts. The fact that they are filming him, they did something very bad to him. They gave him enough drugs to stay alive, and then they filmed his like reaction to the thing that they had done. The whole point of this was to make something the height of scare tactics. And so I've mentioned this before, but the School of the Americas has a huge influence on this like area of the world. And the School of the Americas is like an American school for torture, murder, and war shit, to teach people to kill communists to protect capitalism. Torture methods and also scare tactics were taught by the American military and propagated across all of South America. When you get a Funky Town Gore video and you go, wow, this is extreme in a lot of ways, this is extremely horrible, you have to understand that they probably learned it from shit that we told them to do, because it works. It works to send a message with like horrific scare tactics like this. If you were a police officer and you were looking into investigating a group of narcos, and you found out that those narcos cut off a dude's face while he was alive, you would probably not want to go fuck with those narcos. It's just a very simple cause and effect. This video is made for the purposes of intimidation. Don't ever forget this. It's made for the purposes of intimidation. Intimidation can have a lot of reasons. The other thing is they're wearing like shorts and sandals and shit in this video. There's like a bunch of that kind of stuff. So this image people have of like the guy in the Gucci shirt with the cowboy hat and I'm a narco, not true. Not true. It's just a guy. A guy does this. Like a guy practically is like, I'm a narco and I must protect whatever, or I must send this message. So he and a bunch of friends do this to a guy. I'm not saying it's not fucked up. I'm saying that if you look at this completely without context, it's really, really, really scary. But if you look at it with at least a little bit of context, you'll see that A, you're not going to get funky towned, and B, I don't know if this really concerns us. You know what I mean? Like, this is a situation that we have absolutely no understanding or involvement in. And there are so many comments on every page of this being like, yeah, guy supposedly did this because somebody fucked with his girlfriend. Yeah, bullshit. Like, yeah, bullshit. Are you kidding me? Who is he trying to intimidate in that situation? Fucking nobody. You think he filmed this for his wax stack? Have you lost your mind? People don't do this kind of shit unless deeply motivated motivated by some sort of like deep-seated desire. They're trying to send a message, except that this is a message that was not intended for you, and move on. However, there's one more little thing I'm going to bring up in tandem with this Funky Town thing. There's this video called Simply Hi, which is supposedly in the same room as the Funky Town video was shot, and they're just kicking a head around of a guy that they killed, and they're just playing soccer with his head. Bad video, pretty bad to look at. The point is, it's in the same spot, so the assumption is that this is taking place in some sort of unified area, and that unified area could potentially be this specific mansion that was purchased by a bunch of like narco-capitalists quite a while back that did previously house the School of the Americas. So the assumption is that the School of the Americas is actually still going on, and it's like a militarized introduction to torture where they're demonstrating torture. And the reason the music is playing so loud, the song Funky Town and Sweet Child of Mine are playing so loud, is to drown out the screams, because they might literally be doing this as a teaching method or an intimidation method constantly in this place to protect capitalism from communists. Understand that communists have done a lot of revolutions in South America, so the capitalists there are afraid, angry, and violent. So there's an aspect of that going on as well. Don't forget that. That's also important. So the fact that this is the same spot points to this perhaps being the location that vindicates a lot of the things that I was saying about literal torture factories, but they were like manufactured by the US, and the manuals, while in Spanish, were written by the United States folks. They never really translated these from Spanish when they were like investigating the School of the Americas. These ideas have been propagated for a really long time without question. Very important to note. There's a lot going on here that you in specific can't just observe. So don't forget that. It's important. It'll be on the test. I wanted to tell a personal anecdote about a piece of Not Safe for Life content that demonstrates a lot of the stuff I'm saying about xenophobia and about the propagation of bad ideas. So a long time ago, I was in the car with my grandparents, and I talked about how much I thought the rest of the world was very neat, and I really liked, like Brazil, and I thought Brazil was a cool country, and I liked India. I like India. I think that it's a neat country, and I love the culture of India in the same way that I enjoy South American culture quite a bit. I'm very interested in it. I was talking about this, and my grandparents said Brazilian people are savage primitives, which I thought was a hot take, and I turned and said, no, they're not. What are you talking about? That's really xenophobic. And they told me about an incident where a bunch of people at a soccer game did not like the results of the soccer game, so they all leapt out of the stands with weapons, ran up to the referee, cut his head off and put it on a stake, and then quartered him and left his dead body on the field. This happens all the time because this is just normal there, because this is how they solve their problems. And over here in Western culture, we don't solve our problems like that. Clearly, we're a superior culture. Now, I understand that this is white nationalism. What I'm hearing, what I'm saying that my grandparents were trying to indoctrinate me into is white nationalism. So when I Googled Brazilian soccer massacre to learn exactly what they were talking about and see if it was even real, I found out that it was real. But the first article I read was from Fox News. Take it with a grain of salt. I have a feeling that the people that are talking about this are doing so with specific, shady, scary purposes. And also, I want to note, the story is not that. The story is a referee got in an altercation with a player, and then the referee pulled a knife on the player and murdered him in front of his family, stabbed him to death in front of his family. And then his family, with a group of like an angry mob, ascended on the fucking guy and tore him to pieces for what he had done. It was mob justice, but understand that mob justice, while being shit, is also like there's a cause and effect. It's not like Brazilian people just randomly do this to people. They were wronged and they responded with an equal amount of violence as the violence that was given for no fucking reason. There's moral here. So when people are like, they're completely immoral, they just do whatever they want. Not true. Not true. And if you saw your family member literally murdered in front of you, you probably would react somewhat violently. So understand that when we demonize other cultures for their reactions to very like tangible, observable problems, I almost want to call it the victimhood of a bad idea. You become victim to this idea that other cultures are somehow different than your culture and that your culture is special. It's not. It's not. People react to things with an inherent morality. When somebody wrongs you, people have a tendency to respond. That objective morality has a tendency to propagate itself in a lot of not safe for life content. But when you remove the context intentionally and then show people the aftermath, and then you put purposes behind those things, and you claim like a bunch of xenophobic shit is actually true, because of what contextless piece of media you're seeing, you are propagating the idea that other cultures are bad actually, or primitive, or savage, or there's just a different way that things go out there. And that's not true. That's not true. The capability of a white supremacist with an AR-15, the same as anybody else with an AR-15, only they have an insidious, horrific agenda, a purpose that ends lives. This is something that we should be complaining about. And I understand being xenophobic apparently is really easy and it's very reactionary, but we need to learn to stop being so reactionary. But everything on this not safe for life list built with the express intention of trying to get you to have a reactionary response to it. So obfuscating the truth is actually preventing you from being media literate about the thing. So you have to take everything said about shit like this that's without context with a grain of salt, because you genuinely don't know what's true. You don't know what's true. Something I said a long time ago, and I'm going to reiterate now, is that shit like this can color your existence. You watch it and you think that the world is a scary, horrible place filled with horrible violence and gore and murder and mayhem. You know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Those things are true. It is objectively true that murder and torture and pedophilia and shit like this exist. They exist and people do it, and it's wrong and bad, and we hate it. But as I said earlier, get on your bike, go feel the breeze in your hair, walk past a fucking grocery store when it's really hot and the door is open and the AC comes out and it hits you in the face just right, and you're like, wow, life is beautiful. Go hang out with your fucking girlfriend, dude. Go hold hands with someone. Go walk at a park. Go wear an oversized hoodie and smoke a cigarette. Fucking go live your life, because this kind of shit is not gonna live your life. This is not your life. Your life is a beautiful life that you were given to do with whatever you want, and you've chosen to sit here with me and learn about this. And I'm not necessarily saying you shouldn't sit here with me, but I'm pleading with you, begging you even, not to stop living because of this. This is not worth it. I love you, and I want you to know that. And the reason that I say this is because I don't want you to be afraid. People will so quickly say, Brazilian people are scary and evil, but they won't say, I love you. And that's fucked up. It's fucked up. That's the true not safe for life thing, that people will take this and exploit it to freak you out and make you more afraid of life, because you shouldn't be afraid of life. Life is a beautiful gift, and you should share it, and you should enjoy it, and you should love your life, or you should find little ways to love your life. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. Nothing matters like this in the grand scheme of things. Death happens every day. It's happened to everyone who has died, and it will happen to everyone who is alive. Accept it. Accept it. Accept that you're made of meat. Accept that it's not the way you really want it to be. But use this. Use this as a motivator. Not to get off your ass and not to do something with your life. Almost quite the opposite. To do less. All of this stuff is fucking pointless, and it's preventing you from enjoying the air conditioning when you walk by a grocery store, or the wind in your hair, or the smile on the face of the person you love. Those things are infinitely more valuable than a fucking 2-minute video of some guy getting his face cut off for political purposes that you can't even begin to understand. So do yourself a favor and forget this. Forget me. Forget all of this. Unless you want to remember that this doesn't matter, because that's the only thing to take from this. The only real lesson is that none of this shit matters. Not a goddamn thing. The only thing that matters is that smile and that love and that happiness, because that's fleeting. That's fleeting. It will be gone one day. Your little ice cream cone will melt, and when it does, you're gonna wish you still had it. But if you spend your life dreaming about the end of that ice cream cone, you never actually get to taste it. So go taste it. Thank you all for watching. I'm sorry that this has been the most depressing and dour and disgusting thing, but at the same time, I'm beginning to feel that it's necessary, because there's a lot of bad shit out there, and there's a lot of shit that they're just not hearing. They're just not hearing because they'd rather look at something horrible and say that that defines them when it doesn't. I've been Mayleets, and I love you. Thank you for watching me for years. Thank you for liking my videos. Thank you for subscribing. I hope that next time I have something at least somewhat more positive to show you. I've been recently uploading my music over here because I like making music. It makes me happy, and I like sharing my music with people. That also makes me happy. Honestly, what's the point of having a YouTube channel if not to make myself happy, at least somewhat? So sharing my art with you is the way that I feel happiness. So thank you for enjoying this, but remember that there are things about me that are better than this. I will see you next time with the last part of this, and it will be the last one, and it will be mean, and I will not pull any punches. I have a lot to say. I put it off in this video because I thought that it would be too big. Next time, we're gonna close the loop. Thank you all for watching. Please support me on Patreon at patreon.com/NicksFears. If you enjoy my words, my thought, you might enjoy my book, Fluids, which is available on my website. You can get a link below. Thank you for watching. I will be with you until the end. Good night.